After the car accident, I was trapped in my seat, unable to move. I begged my husband, Kyun-shun, to save me, crying. But he said to me, "This is what you owe Kira. If you hadn't married me, she wouldn't have died." Kira Lin was his assistant. On the day Kyun-shun and I got married, she jumped into a river and took her own life. Gasoline leaked, then exploded. Starting over, I returned to the day of my wedding, as the officiant announced the exchange of rings. I snatched the ring Kyun-shun was about to put on my finger and ran to place it on Kira Lin's hand in the audience. "Kyun-shun is yours now, wishing you both a lifetime of happiness." Probably no one had anticipated this sudden turn of events, as the entire wedding venue fell into complete silence. Kira Lin was clearly terrified. She pulled her hand away, visibly flustered, and instinctively glanced toward Kyun-shun on the stage. I twitched the corner of my mouth, about to say something. When I heard Kyun-shun's furious voice, "Dina Shu, what are you doing?" No sooner had the words been spoken than he was already by Kira Lin's side. Kyun-shun instinctively shielded Kira Lin behind him, growling at me in a low voice, "What are you causing a scene for? Do you not want to go through with this wedding anymore?" The quiet venue gradually began to fill with murmurs. What's gotten into the Shu family's eldest daughter? Wasn't this the marriage alliance she begged for? Exactly. Wasn't she Kyun-shun's devoted follower before? What's she up to now? Could it be jealousy over Kyun-shun's assistant? That can't be. Kyun-shun is famously a workaholic who keeps women at arm's length. Yes, Kyun-shun is aloof by nature. I pursued him for 8 years, yet he remained indifferent to me. But he also showed no interest in other women, at least from my perspective. So when the car accident happened, and he told me it was my marriage that led to Kira Lin's suicide, I was utterly shocked. Shocked that they had already shared a relationship beyond ordinary colleagues. Seeing such an expression on my face, he mocked, "Did I hide it well? You're so persistent with me, but you know nothing." I truly didn't notice, and neither did anyone else. One was the person I loved, who eventually became my husband. The other was a poor student I once sponsored, and to help her, I recommended her to be the assistant of the person I loved. Their family backgrounds were worlds apart. And their appearances didn't match either. They hid it so well. I still remember the last question I asked Kyun-shun. Was this car accident not an accident? Was this revenge against me? He said with a frenzied expression, "If it weren't for your insistence on getting married, how could Kira have died?" I closed my eyes briefly. It was clearly him who said that the new product he was responsible for needed to expand its market share and required the Shu family's support. The Shun family was already weaker than the Shu family. Without any benefits, the only way to secure their support was through a marriage alliance. That's why I convinced my parents to let me marry him. How did it end up being my fault again? Why aren't you saying anything? If you don't want to get married, we can just cancel the wedding. Kyun-shun's angry voice in my ear snapped me back to reality. "Good, that suits me just fine," I replied. Kyun-shun's expression faltered for a moment. As if he hadn't expected me to actually agree, his voice deepened as he said, "Are you making fun of me? You've already disgraced your own family, and now you're dragging the Shun family into it." The guests were puzzled, and elders from both sides stepped in to mediate, suggesting that any issues be discussed later and to proceed with the ceremony first. Kira Lin, standing behind Kyun-shun, peeked out timidly and said in a fragile voice, "I'm sorry, Miss Shu. I don't know if I've offended you in any way, but I'd like to apologize first." Her expression was one of genuine fear and trepidation, as if she truly had no idea what had happened, yet her hand subconsciously pressed against the ring I had placed on her finger, showing no intention of removing it. I looked at her innocent expression and smiled. "See, the woman's ring in this pair suits you so well. The fit is absolutely perfect." Kira Lin's expression changed. It seems she remembered. She had tried on this pair of rings too. Not only had she tried them on, but she had also posted about them on her secondary Zyra Hongshu account. "This ring, I hope one day I can wear it openly and proudly, but the focus isn't on this pair of rings, but rather the background behind them." She was trying on this pair of rings in a hotel suite with Kyun-shun. I waved my hand, and the venue darkened. The wedding photo of me and Kyun-shun that was originally on the big screen was taken down, and a new set of photos began to play in a slideshow. The photos showed a man holding a woman, starting from the parking lot all the way to entering a hotel room. Though the distance was considerable, it was still clear that the people in the photos were Kyun-shun and Kira Lin. At the first glance of the photos, Kyun-shun's eyes widened in shock, and he immediately cried out, "What is this? Why are you playing this? Stop it." But no one listened to him. After all, I was the one organizing the wedding, and the staff only followed my instructions. Just as he was about to find someone to stop the playback, the last photo had already been shown. The last photo froze on the image of Kyun-shun and Kira Lin sharing a kiss. The murmurs in the venue grew louder. So Kyun-shun, like someone so ordinary, never would have guessed. I heard Dina Shu introduced her to Kyun-shun's company. Miss Shu probably never expected to get her man stolen by some plain Jane. The scene was getting increasingly chaotic, with elders from both sides asking what was going on. Kira Lin's face turned deathly pale, her hand unconsciously tugging at the hem of Kyun-shun's clothes. Kyun-shun was furious. "Are you stalking me? Get someone to turn off the screen now." I glanced at him and said, "So what if I'm following you? I've got even juicier stuff that's about to be released." Hearing this, Kira Lin rushed in front of me, knelt down in tears, and said, "Miss Shu, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let myself fall for President Shun. It's my fault. I shouldn't have forgotten your kindness. I'll disappear right now and never appear before you and President Shun again." As she spoke, she stood up to leave, but I grabbed her hand to stop her. She stumbled and fell to the ground. Her bag also dropped, scattering its contents all over the floor, amidst a pile of clutter. A prenatal checkup report was tucked away. In a moment of desperation, she grabbed a small paper cutter from the mess and was about to slash her wrist. I kicked out, sending the knife flying. "If you're going to die, don't let it be today," I said expressionlessly. Kira Lin lay on the ground, silently shedding tears. Kyun-shun immediately crouched down, trying to help her up, but she refused to rise. I walked over and picked up the pregnancy test report. "Stop pretending. You approached Kyun-shun earlier today, didn't you? You asked him to leave the wedding and run away with you, but he refused, even when you told him you were pregnant with his child. So you wanted to die, not because you felt guilty toward me, but because Kyun-shun chose me over you." At my words, Kyun-shun and Kira Lin's expressions turned utterly dramatic. Kira Lin even forgot to keep crying. The people in the venue were buzzing with discussion, and some even started taking photos with their phones. My family was already furious, demanding an explanation from the Shun family about what was going on. The Shun family was busy both comforting my parents and explaining to the guests, completely overwhelmed. I took off my veil and placed it on Kira Lin. "Wear it openly and proudly. I don't want this person anymore. I'm giving him to you." In my previous life, Kira Lin disappeared after my wedding. It wasn't until the police investigated that they discovered she had jumped into the river. Although her body was never found, with the river's currents being so swift, there was basically no hope of survival. We all thought she was already dead. I also had doubts about her death, so I asked Kyun-shun about it. Kyun-shun also said he didn't know. Perhaps the pressure at home was too much. I do know that Kira Lin's family situation is very poor. Her mother is paralyzed, her father is a gambling addict, and her younger siblings are still in school. She's the only one supporting the entire family. I just never expected that Kyun-shun would deceive me. Kira Lin didn't take her own life because of her family, but because of him. But for some reason, he blamed all of this on me. Not long after my death, Kira Lin came back to life. It turned out that after she jumped into the river that time, she didn't die but was saved by someone. She simply changed her name and identity and went abroad directly. She even gave birth to Kyun-shun's child while abroad. In the end, the two reconciled and got back together. Watching the two who betrayed me live happily ever after, my soul reached the peak of resentment. Then, after a flash of white light, I was reborn 1 month before the wedding. It wasn't that I had no way to directly cancel the wedding and stay away from them, but I wanted to take brutal revenge even more, so I hired a private investigator to follow them, and planted a bug in the pen given to Kyun-shun, expose them in public, then take the opportunity to cancel the marriage alliance and make Kyun-shun's new product fail. After this incident, The marriage alliance between the Shu and Shun families naturally fell through, but Qian Shun didn't seem to think so. I received his call a week later. His tone wasn't very pleasant. "Dina Shu, why haven't you brought me food these past few days? I want sweet and sour pork ribs." That's right. I used to be really fawning, learning the dishes he liked, cooking for him, delivering meals to him every day. But now, what you want to eat is none of my damn business. I hung up the phone. Qian Shun called back immediately. "Let's set aside the food delivery for now. When can we talk about the marriage alliance? Last time, because of your tantrum, the wedding was ruined, and we have to do it all over again." I was so angry I laughed. "No more marriage alliance. Go find Kira Lin. She's already carrying your child. Continuing with this marriage would just be impolite." To everyone's surprise, Qian Shun flew into a rage. "What are you making a fuss about now? It's been a week. Can't you just let it go? As for Kira, I'll make sure she terminates the pregnancy. It won't affect our marriage." I still remember, in the last life, his frenzied expression when he mentioned Kira Lin. At that time, with the help of the Shu family, he expanded his business and became the helmsman of the Shun family. Perhaps he finally remembered the goodness of his white moonlight again. But now, before he even secured his footing in the Shun family, he sacrificed Kira Lin. I sneered coldly. "You're truly heartless." Then I hung up the phone. After that, I rejected all of Qian Shun's calls. His patience must have reached its limit. Finally, I received a message. "Dina Shu, I gave you a chance, remember? You were the one who gave up on the arranged marriage. Don't regret it." The arranged marriage was called off, overnight. The Shu family's department stores halted sales of the new product overseen by Qian Shun, and even other Shun family products were relegated to inconspicuous corners. The previously agreed-upon investment was also cancelled. My best friend gossiped with me, saying other investors saw the Shun family's situation was not right and withdrew their investments one after another. She also told me that the farce of my wedding was filmed and posted online, and Qian Shun's identity was exposed, along with the product he was responsible for suffering as a result. How dare he two-time with such confidence? Would a company run by someone with questionable personal ethics also have problematic products? All products from this brand have been pulled from the shelves at the Shu family mall. There must be something wrong with them. People even rushed to the brand's official social media accounts to vent their anger, and the incident trended on social media. The Shun family, who originally planned to go public, had no choice but to postpone their plans. Shun's parents came to see my parents, but my parents turned them away at the door. Qian Shun also called me several times, but I found it annoying and blocked him. There was no other way. The Shun family issued a statement, and Qian Shun stepped down from his position as company president, letting someone else take over. He is no longer responsible for this product at the company either. The online uproar has finally subsided. A few days later, just as I was about to leave the house, I never expected Kira Lin to be waiting for me at my doorstep. "You just didn't marry Qian Shun. But why does your family have to withdraw investments from his family, and why remove his products from the shelves? Do you have any idea how much this affects him?" I glanced at Kira Lin. She hadn't terminated the pregnancy, and her belly was slightly rounded now. "What right does an ungrateful wretch like you have to say such things to me?" Kira Lin lowered her eyes and said, "I admit I was wrong in what happened between him and me, and it's my fault. You can punish me, but I hope you won't drag Qian Shun into this." I sneered coldly. "You're right. Let's stop the financial support to your family then." Kira Lin was stunned. "My family?" "Yes, your mother's medical expenses, as well as your younger brother's tuition and living costs. I've been funding them. It's indeed time to stop." Kira Lin's face turned pale. She had always known her family was being sponsored, but she didn't know who the sponsor was. For the sponsored individuals, the identity of the sponsor is usually kept confidential. Previously, it was only because Kira Lin seemed too pitiful that the identity was revealed to help her. Who would have thought they'd helped an ungrateful wretch? Kira Lin herself had no money either. After that farce of a wedding, the Shun family found her disgraceful and fired her. Her previous savings had long been exhausted on her mother's medical treatment. Rely on Qian Shun. Qian Shun can barely take care of himself, let alone have the time to support her family. I stopped the financial support for Kira Lin's family and also had someone pass on the message to them. It was because Kira Lin offended the sponsor that the funding was cut off, especially since her younger brother was at a critical stage of advancing to higher education. With the support withdrawn, he performed poorly in his exams and ended up dropping out of school. This circle is never short of gossip, and it wasn't long before I found out that Kira Lin had a miscarriage, beaten by her father, but that's none of my concern. I have more important matters to attend to. In my previous life, I got married right after graduation and became a full-time housewife, devoting myself entirely to Qian Shun, knowing nothing else, and now, I'm ready to pick up my studies again, continue my education, and also learn to manage the family business. A while ago, I had already started applying for graduate programs in business abroad, busy preparing the necessary materials. Now the materials are ready, and the applications have been submitted, while waiting for the offers. I plan to start exercising first. After discussing with my dad, I decided to start from the bottom at one of our family company's factories to familiarize myself with the production process. The factory is in another city. I declined my dad's help and came to this city alone with just a backpack. I rented a place, settled in, and began my internship. Not long after, one evening, I received a phone call. Sister Dina, could I ask you for a favor? The caller was Jiyu Yang, Qian Shun's cousin. After he went abroad to study, we rarely kept in touch, so I'm not sure why he's calling me now. Could he be acting as Qian Shun's mediator? I frowned and asked, what's wrong? Perhaps sensing the displeasure in my tone, he quickly explained, I'm not here to speak for my cousin, I just arrived in City B, and my friend stood me up. Sister Dina, could you come pick me up at the train station? I don't know my way around. He said he had made plans with a friend here to hang out. But as soon as he got off the high-speed train, the friend told him something came up at home and couldn't host him anymore. His girlfriend suddenly brought her parents to visit his house, so he had to go entertain them and really couldn't spare any attention for me. There was a hint of grievance in his tone. I remembered how he used to follow me around when we were younger, and that was exactly the tone he'd use when he felt wronged. But back then, all my focus was on Qian Shun, and I had no mind to pay attention to anyone else. After all, we were somewhat acquainted, and I happened to be free, so I went to the high-speed rail station. Just as I was about to make a call upon arriving at the station, someone tapped me on the shoulder from behind. Sister Dina, long time no see. Jiyu Yang greeted me with a smile. Long time no see. The person before me was tall and slender, sunny and handsome, completely different from the skinny little boy I remembered. I froze for a moment, then quickly snapped out of it. Which hotel did you book? I'll take you there. I didn't book a hotel. My friend originally said I could stay at his place, but he looked at me pitifully. Then, how about I find a hotel to take you to? As I spoke, I opened my phone, ready to search for nearby hotels. He stopped me. I've already checked. There are no available rooms now. Indeed, it's currently a short holiday, and City B is a popular tourist destination. So it's quite normal not to be able to book a hotel at the last minute. Well, then you, before the question what should we do, could be fully asked. Jiyu Yang spoke. Sister Dina, can you take me in? He looked at me sheepishly and pleaded. Before I could voice my refusal, he spoke again with a pitiful tone. The return tickets are sold out too. Sister Dina, if you don't take me in, I'll have to sleep at the high-speed rail station. No need to make it sound so dire, actually. There's still a spare room in the apartment I'm renting. Besides, although my family has fallen out with the Shuns, we're still on good terms with the Gus and have business dealings with them. It wouldn't be good to outright refuse. All right then, Jiyu Yang smiled. Then thank you, Sister Dina. I was still in a daze when I brought him home. Jiyu Yang, on the other hand, didn't act like a stranger at all. After I led him to the empty room, he immediately started cleaning and tidying up on his own. When I snapped out of it and was about to fetch him a blanket, I saw him pull out a sleeping bag from his suitcase. You brought all this for a trip? I asked in surprise. Jiyu Yang smiled. It's not good to trouble others too much when staying at someone else's place. Something felt a bit off, but I couldn't figure out what. Forget it. Then you should get some good rest, I said to him. Jiyu Yang replied with a smile. Good night, Sister Dina. Early the next morning, when I got up, breakfast was already prepared on the table. Did you make this? Gu Lin nodded with a smile. I remember you liked pumpkin porridge, Sister Dina. I happened to have the ingredients, so I made some. Hope I didn't disturb you. I shook my head and sat down to eat the porridge. It was just the taste I liked, sweet. Suddenly, I felt a bit emotional. Besides my parents, there was someone else who remembered my preferences. In my previous life, even after marrying Qian Shun, he never knew what I liked. When I was sick, what he always brought me was century egg and lean pork congee. That was what he liked. I once mentioned that I wanted pumpkin congee, and he said okay, but the next time he still brought century egg and lean pork congee. Sister Dina, I'm not familiar with City B either. Could you show me around? Jiu Yang's voice pulled me back from my memories. I smiled at him. Actually, I'm not very familiar with it either. On weekends, I'm either at the factory or at home. Jiu Yang's eyes lit up. Then let's take advantage of this holiday to go out together. I heard there are many fun places in City B. That's true. Ever since coming back after rebirth, I've been constantly on edge. It's about time I properly relaxed. So Jiu Yang and I went out together. To my surprise, Jiu Yang, who claimed not to be familiar with City B, actually planned the itinerary perfectly. I happen to have done some research before, he said with a smile. We visited the landmark attractions of City B, strolled through its famous pedestrian street, and finally found a quiet restaurant for dinner. How do I remember this restaurant requires reservations? I flipped through the menu and casually asked. Jiu Yang still smiled. I happened to have made a reservation earlier. As we were eating, Jiu Yang mentioned that the meeting between the two families of his friend had gone smoothly, and his girlfriend's family would be staying a few more days, so he said he wouldn't have time for me these days. Can I stay with you a bit longer? As if afraid I might refuse, she quickly added, I'll go back after the holiday ends, or maybe I'll see if I can change my ticket. I smiled. It's rare for you to come back to the country, so stay a few more days to enjoy yourself. It won't affect me here. After staying one night anyway, I didn't find anything inconvenient. Just as I finished speaking, I saw Qian Shun and a few business professionals coming out of the private room. He also noticed me and Jiu Yang. Qian Shun gave me a puzzled glance, then said something to those business people before walking over. With a hint of disdain in his eyes, he looked at me and said, So that's why you suddenly went crazy at the wedding and pushed me away. You've hooked up with my cousin. I shot back. Are you out of your mind? Having a meal together counts as flirting. Qian Shun raised an eyebrow. Otherwise. Just as I was about to speak, Jiu Yang cut me off, saying calmly, Cousin, what's under the table is called hooking up. Like you and your assistant, Dina, and I are openly dating and having dinner together. Hearing this, Qian Shun was visibly angered. You don't get to speak here. Jiu Yang continued to mock. Cousin, you came to City B for business negotiations, right? Why don't I see your assistant wife around? Oh right. I forgot. Your assistant wife was fired because your scandal was too disgraceful to be kept on board. Qian Shun's face darkened like the bottom of a pot, and he could no longer hold back, raising his clenched fist. Just as the fist was about to hit Jiu Yang's face, he tilted his head slightly and blocked Qian Shun's punch with his hand. If you hit me, I wouldn't mind going to the police station, but I doubt your clients would want to see their business partner with violent tendencies. Jiu Yang raised an eyebrow and nodded toward the business professionals chatting nearby. Furious but helpless, Qian Shun could only lower his fist. The business person over there was already calling for him, so he had to go. Before leaving, he glanced at me, then lowered his voice and said to Jiu Yang, Stay away from her. That night, Qian Shun called using a different phone number. Dina Shu, come back to me, and I'll let bygones be bygones. I frowned, still wanting to make things clear with him. Qian Shun, if you had shown any sign of having someone in your heart before, I wouldn't have been so eager to pursue you. You're with Kira Lin now, and you even got her pregnant. There's no way we can ever be together again. Qian Shun remained silent for a long time before speaking. Although it's a bit late now, I still want to explain. I was kidnapped as a child, and she was my savior. She said she likes me and doesn't ask for any status. I really didn't know how to refuse. I just found it laughable. don't know how to refuse. Is it the same for me? He fell silent. I continued, so I stepped back, and you don't have to struggle anymore, just accept Kira Lin. No, this time, Qianshun spoke up immediately. Dina Shu, I've thought it over. You're the one most suited for me. As for Kira, I'll give her a sum of money to make her leave. I can promise you this. You'll be my only wife, and only you can bear my children, if you have any other demands. I was just about to interrupt him when I heard Jiyu Yang loudly asking from the kitchen, Sister Dina, where's the sesame oil? It's on the second shelf of the cabinet next to the fridge. Without bothering to argue with Qianshun, I answered Jiyu Yang first. Qianshun froze on the phone. Then, he asked in disbelief, Jiyu Yang is at your place? Yeah, I replied casually. After what happened at dinner, neither Jiyu Yang nor I had any appetite, so Jiyu Yang suggested we go home for a late-night snack, and he would prepare it. How shameless of you to let a man into your home so late at night. Qianshun's angry voice came through. How come I didn't notice in my past life that Qianshun's brain is messed up? It must be the love-struck brain affecting my vision. Qianshun, are you living in the Qing dynasty? I said calmly. Besides, whether there's a man in my house at night is none of your business. Qianshun paused, then said, I'm doing this for your own good, a man of his age. In your house late at night. Do you think I don't know what he's thinking? I said, oh, so what? I'm an adult, I can do whatever I want. Jiyu Yang brought over the dishes he had prepared, and I thought I caught the faintest hint of a smile on his face. Upon hearing this, Qianshun gritted his teeth and said, you'd better watch your step. Then he hung up the phone. After that, Qianshun never contacted me again. This could also be the reason why I blocked this phone number. Jiyu Yang went back after the short holiday, and nothing happened between us. However, my contact with him actually increased. I applied to schools in Country M, and Jiyu Yang, who was studying there, became a great person to communicate with. Jiyu Yang said he honed his cooking skills while studying abroad. When you come over, I'll cook something delicious for you. My cooking skills aren't bad, right? I savored the thought and laughed. Thanks in advance then. Jiyu Yang also smiled. Don't be so polite. I'm really looking forward to cooking for you. Time passed quickly, and I received an offer from my target university. During this time, I also received a wedding invitation from Qianshun and Kira Lin. Qianshun didn't contact me but directly sent the invitation to my home. There was a note attached to it. It's all because you chose to degrade yourself that I picked Kira Lin instead. Don't you dare regret it. How ridiculous. I casually tossed the invitation into the trash. Since the scandal involving him and his assistant at the wedding, women in the same circle have been avoiding him, leaving him with few good options. I heard the Shen family has also given up on him, shifting their focus to training his sister to take over the business. He started his own company independently, and it's been doing fairly well. I suppose this might be the source of his confidence, but this has nothing to do with me anymore. I have my own things to attend to. As the start of school approached, I finished my internship at the factory, returned home, and began preparing my luggage for the trip to Country M. While packing, I came across an old amulet. After some thought, I mailed it to Qianshun. Return it to whoever gave it to me. I wonder what expression he'll have when he finds out that when he was kidnapped years ago, it wasn't Kira Lin who saved him, but me. When I was little, I wasn't with my parents. After my parents divorced, my mother went abroad. So I lived with my grandmother in the countryside. There was an abandoned factory in the countryside. By chance, I passed by and noticed someone inside one of the rooms. I moved closer and saw a boy about my age, along with two adults. The boy was tied up. I realized it was likely a kidnapping. So I went back to get adults for help. As a result, when we returned to the factory, it was on fire. Smoke was also coming out of the room where the little boy was locked. The adults called the police and were busy putting out the fire. Meanwhile, I went straight to that room. Fortunately, there was no fire in the room, and the two adults were nowhere to be seen. The little boy was tied up, crying in terror. I climbed in through the window, untied the ropes binding him, and helped him climb out. Through his tears, he said those two were his kidnappers. After getting the ransom money, they had planned to set the place on fire and kill him. He also said his eyes were stinging from the smoke and he couldn't open them. I told him he was rescued and that everything was okay. I handed him over to the adults and then prepared to go home for dinner. Suddenly, he grabbed my arm. "What's your name?" Without thinking, I answered, "Dina." He nodded, then shoved something into my hand. "I remember, but I don't have anything valuable right now. This is my lucky charm. When I get better, I'll come back to thank you." After that, I went home, and not long after, my parents took me back to City A. My parents remarried, and I changed back to my father's surname, Shu. That's right, when I was little, I went by my mother's surname, Shi. Life in a big city is incomparably richer than in the countryside. As for that incident of saving someone, I had long since forgotten about it. When I met Qian-shun in high school, I didn't connect him with the child I had saved. It wasn't until after marriage in my previous life, when I accidentally came across Qian-shun's childhood diary at his parents' house, that I realized the person I had saved back then was Qian-shun. I was amazed by such a coincidence. Coincidentally, the next day was our wedding anniversary, and he had reserved a table at a restaurant with a great ambience in the mountain resort. I wanted to tell him during our date. Unexpectedly, a car accident happened on our way there. Qian-shun deliberately caused me to die in a car accident to avenge his assistant, to seek revenge for the person he believed was his savior. I'm genuinely curious why he thought Kira Lin was his lifesaver when the protective charm was actually with me. But I don't want to waste any more time on them. I've already wasted too much in my past life. This time, I want to live for myself. School is about to start, and I've gone abroad. Guyan helped me find a place to live, right next to where he stays. He came to pick me up, helped me settle in, and then treated me to a meal. Next, he's going to show me around and help me get familiar with the area. I'm really troubling you too much, I said politely. No trouble at all. It's my honor to be of service to Sister Dina. Jiu Yang grinned. School started, and I began my new campus life. On the way home from school that day, my best friend shared a piece of gossip with me. Qian-shun ran away from the wedding. My best friend told me that on the wedding day, Qian-shun simply didn't show up, leaving only Kira Lin in tears, and eventually, the wedding was called off again. It's as if Qian-shun vanished into thin air, not answering calls, not replying to WeChat messages. Even the Shun family has no idea where he went. I suddenly had a bad feeling about this. Sure enough, when I reached the doorstep, I saw a man with a scruffy beard. It was Qian-shun. He looked haggard, as if he hadn't slept for days. Qian-shun also spotted me and immediately grabbed hold of me. "Dina Shu, how did my amulet end up with you?" I remained silent. Could it be that you saved me?" Qian-shun urgently sought confirmation. I said expressionlessly, "Yes, I saved you. If it weren't for me, you would have almost been burned to death." But the person who saved me said her name was Kira. Qian-shun was still puzzled. "Believe it or not, I'm just returning what belongs to its rightful owner." I shook him off and prepared to enter. Unexpectedly, Qian-shun blocked my path. "You're that Shiyun, aren't you?" I wanted to go around him, but he completely blocked the way. He continued, "I knew it was you. I felt something was off when I got the amulet." Kira Lin said the scar on her thigh was from a burn when she saved me, but there was no fire in the room at that time, only smoke. How could she have gotten burned? I asked her about the amulet before, and she said she accidentally lost it. How could I be so stupid to believe her lies? I frowned and said, "Get out of the way. What does any of this have to do with me?" Qian-shun anxiously said, "How can it not matter? If I had known you were the one who saved my life, I wouldn't have been with her, and I wouldn't have left you." I scoffed. "It seems you still don't understand what's wrong with you. Whether or not you mistook who saved your life is beside the point. But stringing me along while being involved with someone else, isn't that a bit much? Even when you were about to marry me, you got someone else pregnant. What? Did Kira Lin force you?" Qian-shun pressed his lips tightly together, not saying a word. If he wouldn't allow it, I planned to leave first. Who knew he would grab my hand again, pulling me back into a tight embrace. "Dina Shu, I was wrong. I mistook you for someone else. Can you give me another chance?" As he spoke, he leaned in to kiss me. I struggled frantically but couldn't break free. Just as he was about to kiss me, I felt an overwhelming wave of disgust. At that moment, a fist suddenly came flying. striking his face and knocking it to the side. I was also pulled out of Qianshun's embrace. Jiyu Yang yanked me behind him and said angrily, "If you harass Dina again, I won't mind knocking your teeth out." Qianshun covered his face, but instead of looking at Jiyu Yang, he turned his gaze toward me. "Dina Shu, so you're already with him? You chose him, didn't you?" "I didn't choose anyone, but I especially didn't want to have anything more to do with Qianshun, so I lied. Yes, I'm with him now. We plan to get married after graduation." Qianshun's eyes darkened as he smiled self-deprecatingly. "So I don't stand a chance anymore." "Not a question, but a statement." He turned and left dejectedly. Only Jiyu Yang and I remained. "Sorry, I used you as an excuse in the heat of the moment. I felt somewhat apologetic," Jiyu Yang said earnestly. "I would prefer it to be true." I looked at him and found him gazing back at me with a solemn expression. "Would that be all right?" Jiyu Yang asked. I fell silent. Since my rebirth, I haven't focused on matters of the heart, only on developing my studies and career. It's not that I haven't noticed Jiyu Yang's feelings for me, but I'm not in the right frame of mind now, nor can I deceive myself. I was carefully choosing my words, just about to speak, when Jiyu Yang stopped me. "Don't say it, I know what you mean." He took a deep breath and then smiled again. "I'm sorry, that was abrupt of me." After that, I continued with my life as an international student. My relationship with Jiyu Yang didn't seem to change much either. After he understood my stance, our interactions actually became more natural. I heard about Qianshun again when my best friend told me. Qianshun and Kira Lin were involved in a car accident halfway up the mountain. The vehicle exploded, and Kira Lin died in the burning car, while Qianshun was lucky enough to escape and was taken to the hospital. Last time, Qianshun disappeared but returned shortly after, though he wasn't quite himself, rambling about being deceived. It's said that although Qianshun and Kira Lin never had their wedding, they had already registered their marriage. Qianshun wanted a divorce, but Kira Lin refused. Now, it seems Qianshun got his wish after all. "Hey, Dina Shu, do you think this accident might have been intentional on Qianshun's part?" Listening to my best friend's gossip, some past memories flooded into my mind. The location of the car accident, the way it happened, everything was exactly the same. How could it not be intentional? I hired someone to find Kira Lin's family and had them report it to the police. The police conducted an examination of the car wreckage and indeed found evidence of tampering. In the event of a collision, the passenger seat safety belt would lock and become impossible to open. Qianshun was arrested. Awaiting him will be the harshest punishment under the law. I returned to my home country after studying abroad and joined my father's company, starting from the basics. I gradually worked my way up and became my father's right-hand man. Years passed, and Jiyu Yang also returned from studying abroad, joining the Jiyu family business. We still kept in touch with each other. As always, we were friends. But over these years of being together, it seems we've grown closer than just friends. Neither of us has pierced through that thin layer of paper between us. On my birthday, he invited me to his place for dinner. "I've prepared a feast for you, guaranteed to suit your taste. And also, I've got a big gift ready for you." I joked with him. "Don't tell me you're giving yourself to me as the gift," he said mysteriously. "You'll know when you get here." I went to his place, finished the dinner he prepared, and then asked, "Where's my gift?" He smiled, so impatient. He turned and entered the bedroom. Then he placed a document in front of me. "Look, this is a gift. This is a contract. The property in South City will be permanently granted to the Shu family for free use." My eyes widened. Of course, we want this property, but the price the Jiyu family would ask for it definitely wouldn't be low, so I didn't even bother to inquire. "Is this a gift for me? Isn't it too expensive?" Jiyu Yang smiled and said, "Of course, but there's a condition." I couldn't wait and said, "What are the conditions?" "The condition is an alliance between the Shu and Jiyu families through marriage. Meaning, you and me." Jiyu Yang looked at me with sparkling eyes. He continued, "A new residential area is planned in the southern part of the city, and building a shopping mall there is definitely a surefire profit. I don't think you'd refuse this offer. If you want a career, I can help you with that too. How about it?" I also smiled. "Of course, no problem. Then please guide me for the rest of my life."